Hello everyone. This is the third part of project integration management knowledge area which we are going to discuss today in this video. The first two parts we have discussed and learned the introduction about the whole knowledge area as a whole. And the second part we have learned the first process, which is develop project charter. Now, if some of you have not gone through those two videos, I request you guys to go through that video, two videos. I will give you the link in the comment section or in the description. Then, if you continue to the third part, it will be more clear to you. Because some of the points which we have already discussed in the first two parts, we may not have mentioned in this part. I will try as much as I can, but still this is a request that it's better to go through the first two videos first, and then if you come back to this third part, things will be more understandable for you guys. So without wasting any more time, let's go to the third part here. So what I was mentioning here is we have discussed this part, which is 4.1 develop project charter, which comes under initiation process. Now today we're going to discuss 4.2 develop project management plan, which comes under planning process group. Before we move ahead, could you please just take 1 or 2 minutes and to think why this particular process, develop project management plan, comes under this planning process group. Could you just think for a minute and try to understand it? Okay, fine. I hope you have done that, because it's kind of a good exercise, you know. Many of you already know the things. Many of you may be new to this concept. Okay, so for both of these groups, it's very helpful if you know things. Just recollect once in your mind. That practice of recollection, practice of trying to think about the things which you already know and again polish those thoughts. That's a very good exercise. That's a very useful exercise. And the other group, which is new to the concept, which I suppose some of you may have been listening to these terms for the first time. For them also, it's quite a good exercise to just try to understand what this name is trying to tell me, what develop and what this project management plan is trying to give. What are the hints it tries to give me? Okay. So before listening to anything, before taking the concepts inside your head, if you just try to analyze from your side, and if you try to just come out with some meaningful understanding, just literally also, it's fine. Okay. So it's another good exercise. Then if you go forward with the next step, where the trainer or the coach or whoever is teaching, whoever is explaining the things, if you go to the next place and hear from him or her, things will be again more clear, and you will be prepared to ask question, right? So in most of our tutorials, most of our videos, and whenever we interact with people one-to-one, whenever we interact with people over a live class or something, before explaining anything, irrespective of whether the trainees know the thing or not, whether they are used to those things or not, we just give them some time to either recollect the thoughts they had in their mind, or just try to understand from a very layman perspective. I mean, I'm excuse me for that term, to give them an opportunity to understand from their initial thoughts. These two practices are very good practices. Having said that, let's move forward. Now let me explain why this develop project management plan comes under the planning process group. we are talking about this second part of these processes. So this process comes under planning because all the things which we do in this process, those are related to the planning of the project. Those are related to the tasks which we are going to perform to plan how our projects will be executed as a whole. Okay? We will plan here how we are going to plan the other knowledge areas. We will plan here how we are going to monitor and control the whole project as a whole. We are going to plan here how our execution will be. Right? So all the things that you can think about that needs to go in this planning part, everything will come here. And there is another small exercise for you guys. You don't need to do right now, but after this, going through this video or anytime whenever you get time, just try to figure out all the processes which may go under this particular process. Okay? Some of you may come up with 10 tasks or activities. Some of you who are very much experienced in already doing project planning and project management, etc., they may come up with 20, 30, 40, 50. It depends upon your project, it depends upon your situation, it depends upon the engagements you have had already. No matter what, no matter how less, no matter how more the counts is, but still the exercise is fine. Okay, what this kind of exercise do to your brain is it tries to open up your mind. It makes you think from an experience perspective, not from a bookish knowledge perspective. I hope you are able to understand me what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so this is a quick tip from ourselves. Whenever we are going through material like PMBOK guide or Rita Mulcahy's book or any other material we have, or over the internet you are going through some other material, or say for this video as well, you are going through the video, you can pause it for a minute or two. Whenever you have come across a new topic, whenever you have come across some new thing or anything which you already know, it's always a better practice. Just think about it. Okay, suppose just before a few minutes I mentioned that we have already discussed develop project charter process. So for an example, let's try to pause for a minute. You can pause the video. Let's try to pause for a minute and think about it. What are the things that they are in develop project charter? What are the processes? What are the tasks? Okay, is there anything new which you haven't got yet in any books or materials or videos? Right. So until this is a good practice for exams like PMP. Why this is a good practice? Let me elaborate this point. Look, the PMP exam, all the questions which come in the exam, all the concepts, everything we think about, everything we try to learn, all things are interrelated in PMBOK. Okay? So I mean to say all concepts in PMP is kind of an interrelated topic. So you cannot just segregate the topic and learn. You always have to have a link between all the knowledge you have. You always have to have a link between all the concepts you have learned. Then only you will be able to understand the whole thing, and then only you will be able to understand the questions which need knowledge from multiple areas. So that's why I'm requesting you guys, just start this practice if you haven't done already. Whenever you are learning something new, whenever you have encountered something new, you try to pause for a minute and try to relate how it's linked to the other things. Okay, and this is a habit actually. Once you to start to it, if you start doing it explicitly, I mean to say, if you start doing it consciously, after a few days it will become your habit. Then you would not require to think about it also, it will automatically come to you. Right? So let's practice this Let's practice this as much as we can. So whenever you are watching my video as well, whenever you want, just pause there, think about the other things, think about the related things, create a mind map. Okay, if I'm talking about X, how X can be related to Y, how Y can be related to Z, a kind of map. Just if you can try to write it down on your notebook, or you can have in your mind, up to you as per your convenience. Okay. So I will give another example, and then I will start the topic straight away. So this is my personal experience. What I did to do this, how I executed this exercise. When I was preparing for PMP exam, what I did is I took a big whiteboard and I hang it in my bedroom or in my study room. It was in my bedroom and study room, which it keeps moving basically depending upon where you are. Okay, but the bottom line is I had this whiteboard. I had some marker, red, green, yellow, or blue, whatever, right? So whenever I come across some new topic, whenever I encounter some new thing, I used to pen it down in the whiteboard. Okay? Then I tried to link which are already there in that board. So I tried to draw some pictures, then I tried to relate things. I mean, suppose I have encountered something new, but I'm not able to understand it. I mean, I'm not able to keep, I'm not able to remember it again and again. I'm always forgetting it. What I did, I drew some small pictures, and I kind of relate to that pictures. So everything like that was there in my whiteboard. And whenever I was confused with something, whenever I was missing some point, I used to go back to that whiteboard, and then everything would come up again in my mind. So this kind of tips that you can use, Fine. Let's move now to the actual process right here. All these things we have discussed. Yes. Yeah. So here we are now. Develop project management plan, which is the second process in the. So before going to the input, output, tools and techniques, let's try to visualize what is this project management plan is all about. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear this term project management plan? To simply state it, this is a plan. This is a plan, number one. Number two, for the whole project. This is a plan for the whole project. That's it. That's it, project management plan, right? So why we have mentioned this is a plan? Because this is a guidance, this is a guidelines to you. This kind of a mentor to you. Whenever you are trying to execute the project, whenever you are trying to produce the deliverables, whenever you are trying to do whatever is part of the project, all you will do in line with this plan. Okay? The project team will not do anything which is not there in the plan. The project team will not do anything in a way that is not mentioned in the plan. That means, suppose there is a particular activity which needs to be done online, which needs to be completed from 1st to 5th of the month. So that particular activity needs to be done exactly that way. That means it has to be done online. It has to be done between 1st and 5th. So every single minute thing we do as part of our project, that will be in line to our project management plan. Second point, why we have mentioned that this is a plan for the whole project. That's because apart from this main project management plan, we will have multiple subsidiary plans. Those subsidiary plans will be specific to their knowledge areas. For example, Cost management will have a cost management plan. So in that plan, everything that will be mentioned will be related to cost. Schedule management plan will have the detail for the schedule and all its related things. Right? So there are some subsidiary individual plans for each knowledge area. But our project management plan is a holistic overall plan for the whole project. I hope it's understandable. I hope it's clear. Okay. It's a robust plan. If you see, I have mentioned it's a robust plan. Because why it's robust? You will get everything here. You can say it's an exhaustive plan. Okay, exclusive plan. Everything you need to perform the project, it will be there. Then we mentioned that should be aligned with program portfolio. Yes, obviously we are doing the project, or we are going to perform the project as part of some organization, as part of being some organization or program or portfolio. And because look, the thing is, the programs, the portfolios, they have their strategies which is in line to the organization itself. So our project also have the way of working, should have the strategy of working which is in line to program and portfolio, and in turn the organization. Correct? Fine. Then I will go to, I'm not going to, clockwise, anti-clockwise, something like that in this picture. Just I'm going randomly. Then let's come to this point, which is how the project will be executed, monitored and controlled and closed. So this point we have already mentioned. How the overall project will be done, that plan will be mentioned here. Fine. Now, there are two parts in the life cycle of a project management plan. There are two parts in the life cycle of a project management plan. What are those two parts? The first part, when the project management plan is prepared or being prepared, but the plan is not baselined. Okay. The second part, the project management plan is baselined. So what do we mean when we say that the project management plan is baselined? Now, in project management plan or during the planning, we have to have some baseline for cost, we have to have some baseline for scope, we have to have some baseline for our schedule, right? And then we have to get approval for this baselines, right? So suppose you have as part of your planning, you have come to know that you will need $100 million for your project, and you would require this money within the span of 1 year, suppose. So this is your cost baseline. This is your high level cost baseline. So this cost baseline has to be approved by the management, isn't it? Otherwise, how you will be able to make sure that the budget will be delivered, the budget will be released, right? Same thing goes to schedule and cost, schedule and scope as well. Same thing goes to schedule and scope as well. Fine. So you have to baseline your scope. That means as part of this project, these things are under scope. These things are not under scope. These are excluded from the scope. You have to explicitly mention that, right? So, and then you have to have a scope statement, etc., etc., right? So you have to give that baseline, and you have to get it approved by the stakeholders. Yes, this is okay, fine. No, you have to include that and those and that. Fine. So what I'm trying to say here is, once you get all these things settled, once you get all these things approved, scope, time, cost, etc., your project is baselined. Okay, your project is baseline. There is a milestone in the life cycle of the project management plan. Now there are two things now. First thing, when you need to change something in the project management plan before it is baselined, that means before it's get approved. And the second point, when you need some change in the project management plan after it gets baselined, that means after it gets approved. Right? In the first case, when you need to do some changes in the project management plan before it's baselined, you can make that change. You can make that change. You can do whatever you require, and you can make that change. But once the project is baselined, after that, if you need some change in the project management plan, you have to raise a change request for that. And this is true for the whole life cycle of the project. After the project is baselined, any change that's required as part of the project management plan, that needs to be go through via a change request. I hope this point is clear. If not, just pause for a minute and try to understand what I'm saying here. Okay? Because this is very crucial. This is very crucial. This milestone in the project life cycle of the project management plan is very crucial. Many questions will be related to this concept, whether the aspirants, whether the exam taker understands when to raise a CR and when not to raise a CR, to change the baseline, to change the project management plan. Right? Even if you don't get a direct question out of it just like that, but there will be multiple questions, multiple situation-based questions which will be related to this topic. Okay? So we have to be crystal clear about this concept in our head. Before baseline, no CR required. After baseline, CR required. That's it. So let's see what have we have here. Project management plan we have discussed, robust we have discussed, yeah, should be aligned with program we have discussed, CR required for any change request we have discussed, baseline we have discussed, done with this slide. Okay, now there is another exercise for you guys. After you have completed this slide here, again pause for a minute now, or after the video, whenever you get time. You try to create another map like this. You try to create another map like this, where the project management plan is in the heart of the map, and you can relate as many topics as you can from this center. Because of the time constraint, I have discussed already only 6 topics here, right? So you can add as much as you can from your experience, from your knowledge, from the things you have seen so far in the projects. So go ahead and do that, then many things will be clear on your head. And another advantage of doing such activities, once you try to come up something from your own, then only all the confusions you have, then only all the doubts you have, which till now you don't know, that will come up. Okay? All the doubts will come up, all the confusions will come up. Note it down. Then again, try to understand those doubts and try to clarify those doubts yourself. If you're not able to do, ask us, or search in the internet, search in the materials you have. Okay, so that's how it helps you basically. Now let's go back. Let's go back and see what are the inputs, tools, and techniques and outputs of this process. Before that, again, I'm going to reiterate here. What is the plan? Project management plan. Project management plan contains all the plans that's required to perform your project. That means it will contain all the plans for your knowledge areas, individual knowledge areas. It will plan how to execute the project. It will plan how to monitor and control the project. It will plan what will be your change request process. It will plan how you will handle the change request. It will plan how you are going to close the project, etc., etc. Okay. So what are the inputs? The inputs are project charter, output from other processes, and other processes. Here are some mistakes in the print actually. So the enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets. So the first input itself is project charter. Just think for a minute why project charter should be an input to this process. That's because project charter is the starting point of the project, isn't it? And now here we are in a stage where we don't have anything else, just for the sake of I'm saying, we don't have anything else. When you're first starting, when you have first started developing the project management plan, you don't have anything else with you. You have the project charter. There are high level details mentioned there, right? There are high level financial factors mentioned there. There are multiple things mentioned there, and you need to take those statements, you need to take those figures, you need to take those inputs, and then on the basis of that, you have to plan your cost, you have to plan your scope, you have to plan your schedule, and all the other knowledge areas. You have to plan how to deal with your stakeholders, right? You have to plan how your communication will be. So this is the starting point in your process. Take the project charter, see whatever are there, use them to start your plan. Now the second point, you see outputs from other processes. Now this is a very interesting point here. For many of us, this is quite a confusion when we first start, our learning with respect to this knowledge area. Now, just try to understand why it is. Suppose you may think that at this moment we are just starting the development of the project management plan. Then how we have outputs from other processes now? We don't have any processes right now, isn't it? We are just starting the plan. We are at the beginning of the process. So how can we have outputs from other processes? Just think for a minute here. Fine. Now the trick here is developing project management plan is not a one-time activity. It's a continuous activity. In fact, many of the processes in PMBOK guide, these are continuous activities. So while you are starting developing the project management plan, yes, at that moment you have only the input as your project charter, your EEF, and your OPA. But throughout the project, you will take inputs from various processes, and then you will tend to see whether whatever is mentioned in my plan is fine, or do I need to change something. Okay, you got my point? Basically, suppose you are executing the process. You are executing the project. Then you have seen your reports and something is really not matching up. You saw that, okay, my cost is going up and there is no way that I can bring down the cost. So there is a chance that we need to change the overall budget of the project. You have tried everything else, but that is the only way to go forward. So in that case, that process which is giving you this information, the output of that process in an input to update your project management plan. Obviously you have to raise some CR and etc. That's fine. But what I'm trying to make you understand here is, since it's a continuous process, all the time you will keep looking for other processes. Are they giving me any hint? Are they giving me any details which I need to implement in this? I need to change something in the project management plan. Right? That's why outputs from other processes are an input to this process, develop project management plan, which is a continuous process which you will keep doing throughout the life of the project. I hope you are able to understand this point. Right? This I'm saying this is a tricky thing. Okay, there is a possibility that some of you may not understand at this point. So if you have any doubt, just put in the comments, and I will just get back to you. Okay. Then the third and the fourth inputs are enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets. We are not going to go in details in these two inputs anymore, because these inputs, as we have mentioned, is again and again coming in all the processes, and these inputs are kind of quite obvious. That obviously, if you are performing some process in your project management, your enterprise environmental factors are going to, impact you, and your organizational process assets also have an impact on you. Fine. If you have any doubt regarding what is enterprise environmental factors and what is organizational process assets and how these are different, we have a quick 2-minute animation video in our channel. You can just have a quick look here, and you can pause this video also right now if you have any doubt, and you can go back and you can see this video. Fine. Let's move to tools and techniques. The first tools and techniques is expert judgment. Yes, we have to have expert judgment. We have to use our experience. We have to use a judgment from our own self, or we can help leverage the judgment capability from other entities, etc. Fine. Then you have to have some data gathering techniques like brainstorming, checklists, focus groups, interviews. Then interpersonal and team skills, conflict management, facilitation, meeting management, and meeting. So all these tools and techniques are mostly either it's idea generation or data gathering tools and techniques like brainstorming, checklisting, and focus group, etc. Or it's personal skill, soft skill kind of tools and techniques like conflict management. Why you need to have conflict management technique used here? Suppose you are trying to plan for the stakeholder management, and there are lots of conflict being arised from each of the stakeholder or each of the entities. So you have to have a conflict management capability to find out the right output from that conflict. Right? Same thing goes for meeting management. Same thing goes for facilitation. The output of the project process is the project management plan. So once you are done, or whenever you do something in this process, you are never done with this process, by the way. When you are working on the project, the output of this process will be the project management plan itself. Okay. So what are there inside the project management plan? We will see in our next slide. These are the typical stuffs which will be there in our project management plan. See the first segment here, the banner here. We have mentioned the management plan for all the 10 knowledge areas. If you remember, I mentioned a few minutes back that the project management plan, as part of planning the project, we are going to plan how we are going to plan the knowledge areas. Okay, this is interesting. I will read it again. During the project management plan process, you are going to plan how you are going to perform the individual knowledge areas. How you are going to plan the individual knowledge areas. Okay? So that's why your project management plan includes all these subsidiary management plans, scope management plan, requirement management plan, schedule management plan. So all these management plans are coming out of your individual knowledge areas, and those will be part of your overall project management plan. Then we have the baselines. Then we have the baseline as part of our project management plan. As we already discussed, we will have a scope baseline. Scope baseline means what are the things that is part of your project. What is your project scope statement? What are the things that are outside your scope of the project? What are the assumptions you have, etc., etc. Okay. Then you have the schedule baseline. When you are going to complete the project, what are the milestones that you will require in your project? Okay. What will be the phase gates you will have in your project? All the schedule baseline, the network diagram. right? Everything. Then you have the cost baseline. What will be your budget? Suppose you have a $100 million budget, and that $100 million you need within a span of 1 year. Suppose the first 3 months itself you need $550 million. Then in the next 2 months you need $100 million. $100 million. So first 3 months you need suppose 50 million. Next 3 months you need suppose 30 million, like that basically. So these baselines will be part of your project management plan. Then there will be some additional documents which also be there, okay, like change management plan. So what will be there in change management plan? How you are going to manage the changes that will be required as part of your project. Then configuration management plan. What are the steps, what are the process to manage the configuration changes in the products? Okay. Then comes performance measurement baseline. Performance measurement baseline, you will have the performance measurement for scope, schedule, cost, etc. Other things, whatever matrices you have. Then project life cycle. What are the project life cycle you are following? It's a pure traditional waterfall model, or you are doing some rolling F kind of thing. Anything. I mean, what are the phases of your project, etc., etc. Then development approach, then management reviews. Okay. So what will be your approach for actually executing developing the project or product? Then what are the kind of management reviews you need will be required? So all those details and anything else that you think should be helpful for your project would be helpful for your project. Anything that is mandated by your organization, anything that is mandated by the industry you work for. So all the stuffs will be included in the project management plan. These are not exhaustive list by any chance anyway. Okay, so you can add more, but it's recommended that you'll have these things which will definitely going to help you performing your project. Now we have two kinds of documents as part of our. All the artifacts you will have in your project, those are divided in two major groups. Okay, one collection of the artifacts documents are called the project management plan. Okay, I mean that those are part of the management plan, project management plan, and there are some other documents, artifacts which are not part of the project management plan. Okay, so those are called project documents. So what are the part of project management plan? We have already discussed here. All the knowledge area planning, all the change management planning, configuration management planning, performance measurement baseline, etc., etc. Whatever is written in this banner, everything comes under project management plan. And the right side banners, whatever we have mentioned, like activity attributes, if you see assumption log, then duration estimate, issue log, your risk register, your risk report, your quality metrics, your quality report, all this whatever is mentioned in the right part of this slide. There are two banners, okay, gray color. All those documents are called the project documents. So the question is why we have segregated these documents into two major categories: project management plan documents and. Could you please think for a reason which necessitates us to divide this into two categories? Fine, let me tell you. Look, we'll have multiple documents, we'll have multiple artifacts in the project, isn't it? And if some change is required in any of the documents, for everything we cannot raise change request, right? For everything we cannot raise a change request. Suppose you have mentioned something in the issue log yesterday and now you want to update that, now you want to change that. You cannot go with a change request, right? Because it may be very minute thing and you may not want to utilize your precious and valuable resources just to change an issue log. or just to change an assumption log, which can be done over mail only, or something, or verbal, etc. Isn't it? So the main purpose of this dividing this into two groups is the left part of the slides, which includes the project management plan. Anything you need to change here, you need to raise a change request. Okay, anything you need to change in the right two banners, okay, as a project documents, you don't need a formal change request. Yes, you may need approval over mail, say, yes, you may need some communications, etc., etc. But you don't need to go through the whole formal official change request process. Right? So these project documents are also output of many processes. Right? There are many times these things will be updated, like your risk register will be updated many things depending upon all the processes. Issue log may be updated anytime. Project schedule means it's not the baseline, it's just the schedule. Okay, it may be updated. So these project documents don't need change requests to be updated, and this project management plan, whatever inside that, they need change request to be updated or changed. So this is pretty much develop project management plan process. Even if we have discussed within 4 to 5 slides, there are much more to it. Okay, and we just cannot go on and discuss all the things exhaustively. That's why I requested you guys, throughout the video, you keep pausing, you keep thinking, you keep doing some R&D here and there. You keep trying to relate things, how it relates to your project, how it relates to the projects that you have seen. You keep relating the topics you have already learned and the things you have just heard. Okay? Do this practice. Do this practice to have an exhaustive knowledge base on this process, especially in your head. I request you guys go through whatever is mentioned in the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. I request you guys, whatever material you have with you as part of your preparation, go through the develop project management plan process. Try to think yourself. Try to understand yourself logically. Okay. Try to create some mind map out of it in any form you want, in a white paper, in your notebook, in a whiteboard, in your mind. Whatever you're comfortable with, you keep doing this exercise again and again. Okay? If you have any doubt regarding any of the topics, any of the things we have mentioned, or anything that we have deliberately left out, or anything that is missed here, you can come up with your question in the comment section. You can come up with your question in our Facebook page, which is certification support, and we'll try to help you clarify those concepts. We'll try to clarify your confusions. We'll try to give you more example and try to make some other videos, right? And there are some of the topics, there are some of the tools, techniques like brainstorming, checklist, focus group, which then meeting, then expert judgment. This kind of tools and techniques will keep coming up in all the processes. So we are not going to actually discuss in detail regarding these processes in all the knowledge areas, in all the processes. What we are going to do here is we are going to make some small videos to understand, clarify these concepts. All these videos will be uploaded in the channel. So if you have not done already, you can subscribe to the channel so that anything comes up like this in some small videos, with videos which you can watch when you are going by a bus or something, when you are traveling in the tube, etc. Right? So we make some small videos like that. We already have some small videos like that, which is 2 to 3 minutes of length only. Right? So you can subscribe this channel if you want, if you like to. So basically my point is the common topic which are common to all the processes, we are not going to discuss in detail in each and every process. Rather than that, we are going to upload some videos, individual videos explaining those topics. Well, I hope you enjoyed this second process of the knowledge area. I hope I was able to explain the concepts well. If not, just give your honest feedback in the comments again. We'll try to learn, we'll try to improve ourselves as well. Okay, and again, before winding up, I'm just reiterating the practice that I mentioned. Keep thinking, keep analyzing, keep relating things, keep creating mind maps, keep linking to the things you know and the things you have just learned. With that, winding up for the day, thank you so much for your time, and we'll come back again with the next topic, which is direct and manage project work.